episode of Musician Rewind. Today, my guest, who I haven't seen and talked to in a few decades, singer,
Yeah.
writer, composer, Rayco. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going?
So
You're
good.
right. It has been shucks. Yeah, decades.
Yeah, it's been some decades, man.
Decades.
I'm glad we finally got this to happen.
Yep, me too.
Um,
Me too.
Yep. So we're gonna jump right in, like I asked everybody else. So I know you as a singer, but was voice your original instrument, or did you play something before that?
Actually, the voice is my original instrument. That's what I do best. But a lot of times, a lot of people don't know that I play the alto saxophone.
Okay.
And I've worked with it, so I got pretty good enough to even join the union.
Oh, okay.
But as I always say, I never take that horn out. If I'm in a room with horn players, I
Mhm.
never take my. I leave it in the case, But
Okay.
yeah, I love the horn because it's and especially because of the body, the family of horns. It allows you to hit notes you can't hit as a singer, like the baritone horn.
Right.
You can't hit. At least I can't. I can't hit notes that low and that powerful. So
What
that's why I enjoy it.
there a preference? Are you like soprano, alto, or you just play the whole
I've
family?
tried them all. I enjoy the sound of the tenor sax,
Mhm.
but most of my experience is on the alto.
Also,
The alto is what I am most comfortable with,
right.
but the tenor sax's tone, I enjoy it more.
Yeah, it's a full body type
Yeah.
tone. Now, do you play all woodwinds or you just stay with the sax?
I just played with the sax. I did, and that was it. And I tried to. I wanted to play trumpet when I was a kid, but my
Okay.
mom, for some reason, thought that anybody who played trumpet would end up looking like Louis Armstrong. I mean, not Louis. Dizzy Gillespie, Dizzy. So she thought my cheeks would get all blown out, and I'm like, that's not. That's just what he does.
Right. He went totally against the grain.
And she just said, no. You're gonna end up with cheeks just like that. No,
Right. So let me ask you. So let's go back to the beginning. So school. Now, were you singing early in your days?
Oh yeah. I sing
Okay.
because my dad, and my uncle sang. They had a
Okay.
doo-wop group. It was in fact they sang professionally. They recorded and they opened for groups like the Isley Brothers and
Oh wow. Okay.
Tony Orlando and Dawn, James Brown.
Nice.
Yeah, my father and my uncles. And we've lost as of last year, we lost the last one of the Scott brothers.
Okay.
And they went, the highest thing that they did was they had a song written by my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
My father sang lead, but my Uncle Warren, I have to say, although I love my dad,
Right.
my Uncle Warren was a stronger songwriter.
Right.
Or,
Okay.
his songs was more serious, and my dad's songs were more fun. And he wrote the body of work.
Oh, nice.
But it went to number 6 on what they call the soul chart.
Okay. What was the name of the group?
Say it again.
What was the name of the group?
The Scott Brothers.
Scott Brothers.
Yep. And they were from 59 to 63.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
So now is like I come from a family of singers on both sides. There's a few of us that actually play instruments, but mostly everybody sings. So in your family, so you're saying your father and uncles, how about your mother's side? Were they singers or?
No, most of my mother's side was more military.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody really, like my mom couldn't sing or dance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and my mother's side was a different thing. They were both from North Carolina.
Okay.
Both families from North Carolina. One from Greenville. My dad's family's from Greenville, originally Aden. And then, and my mother's from around Fayetteville, which is a little place called Lumberbridge.
Right.
Most of the music came from my father's side.
Father's side.
Yeah.
So so your father, did he encourage that? Like, I want you to take piano lessons, or
No, my mom did. My mom was the one that got me into voice lessons early.
Okay.
My mom was the one that got me into everything, and my dad was like, you don't want to do this. You don't, you know, he'd be like, you don't want to do this. I'm like, Dad, help me. Give me some advice. He said, the advice is don't do
Get
this.
into it.
He said, I like you. That's why I'm telling you this.
Yeah, my mom pushed for one of us to take piano lessons, but nobody ever did.
I hear you.
So I ended up falling for drums, but she always wanted somebody to play piano.
Yeah.
And it did, but all of them sang though. So okay, so let's get to elementary school. What were you doing musically? Were you
I actually I started taking some piano lessons, but I was more focused on the singing. I just really wanted to perfect the singing. I wish I had spent more time with the instruments at that time, because I had a lot more time.
right? And what school did you go to? Like what area?
I was in Brooklyn. I was in
Brooklyn, okay.
I grew up in Bed-Stuy.
Okay.
When it was definitely do or die.
Okay.
It wasn't your Bed-Stuy of your gentrified Bed-Stuy. It was do or die.
Okay, and so you went from all the way through high school there?
No, we moved to Queens when I was finishing junior high school, and when I was getting in around 79, when I was getting into, because I got into high school in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up in Brooklyn, as I said, and then we moved to Queens because it was really crazy. And I always tell the story of when I got to Queens,
Mm-hmm.
how, you know how like you're changing classes? I'm in high school, I went to August Martin.
Okay.
And we're changing classes, and all the kids are it's like a madhouse because everybody's getting to their next class.
Right.
And it was new. It was like the first week of school, and I'm looking around. I can't see, and I bump into this kid. All of his books go flying, and the kids and I'm thinking it's like Brooklyn. So I immediately go, look, man, I'm sorry I bumped into the kids, and I'm going through my whole thing. Look, man, I don't want no problems. I just want to get to class. And the guy, I didn't even notice, he's just picking his books up. He just picks his books up, and when he gets them all together, he looks at me and says, "It's fine, it's fine." Right. And then poof, just disappears, goes to his class. I'm like, where the heck am I? What kid gets bumped into, knocks it, and he says it's okay?
Right.
This is an amazing place.
Wow. Yeah, I grew up around August Martin.
It's funny. I started playing the alto saxophone in junior high school, and I just knew and I stopped singing because I'm like, I'm a horn player. I don't sing. And foolishly, I made that declaration right as I was auditioning for high schools.
Okay.
Now, after just 2 years of playing the horn, I'm trying to audition to the best schools in New York. Right. I could have sang. And I could have made it in, but I was like, nah, I don't sing. And my mom was like, well, the thing I appreciated about my dad didn't get involved with it, but my mom was like, you know what? If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. I auditioned. What was it? August was music and art, performing arts, and Erasmus Hall. Okay. And I failed out with the horn on the two of the big schools, which there was no way after just 2 years I was going to be able to compete with these kids who had been playing since they were small. Right. But I did get into Erasmus Hall, and I was happy that that August Martin had a really good music program. Yeah, he did. At that time,
quite a few musicians.
Najee came out of August Martin.
Went there. Richard Ruiz, who played with Najee, they all went there. So wow. The last musicians I knew, they graduated in '80. So I don't know who would have been there when you got there.
Yeah. But yeah, it still was a strong program.
Andrew Jackson had a great music program.
Yes, they did. My older sister, she ended up going to like two of the worst schools in New York. She went her first 2 years, we were in Brooklyn, so she went to Boys and Girls. Okay. and then the second 2 years she went to Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, they had a great music program. There's a lot of musicians came out of there, that I know. They sent me to Jackson, but I opted, I was like, nah, I'm not going to Jackson. Yeah. And so I ended up at Francis Lewis's, is where me and Steve met.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know that. I totally, I don't remember even finding out where he went to high school, because I met Steve after high school. I think Steve was 21 or 20 when we first met.
Yeah, because Steve was from Brooklyn. I think Steve only went to school with us for a year, and then he was back in Brooklyn.
Because he was they had gotten that house on Grayson Street. That's where it was. And so I met Steve when they had bought that Grayson Street house.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's way after. Right. That the house by 59?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So all right. So you come out of high school. So when do you get into the say neighborhood bands?
Oh, um, after high school, I didn't really start getting into a lot of the neighborhood band stuff until because I met who did I meet first? I'm trying to remember. Through the different musicians, it was after. It's tough to remember who I met first though. There was a guitar player, Darren Robinson.
Aaron Robinson. Did he play?
Real, real unusual kid, but
Did he
like
play with Blue
as
Shoe?
huh? No, well,
No.
no, briefly, but he was. Put it this way: if you can't remember him, then you never met him. We nicknamed him Doc.
Mm-hmm.
Darren, he was about as funky as Prince.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, this guy's rhythm chops was on par with anything Prince ever did, which was weird because that's why when I got out of that group of local musicians,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how freaking talented all of you guys were
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, oh, this is just normal.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, man.
No, no, not everybody can play rhythm like that.
Yeah, Queens was something else, man. Especially that area.
Yeah. Then you got Bernard Wright.
Right? That whole Jamaica funk thing. So
Yeah.
it's a rich history, and that's really the R&B funk part because there's so many jazz cats
Oh my God. Right.
out of that area, man. Heath Brothers, and it's just so many. So the history is great there. Yeah. So now I remember meeting you again when Steve and them was living there, and I hadn't been seeing Steve a lot at that time because by that time I think he had started working with Cody and them. I didn't know them, so I met them through him.
Yeah. You know what's so funny? I'm trying to think. I think it was Steve because I used to work with I used to hang around and work with I think because I remember my earliest recordings. There was
Mhm.
this studio on Queens Boulevard. It was like a 4-track studio, which is so funny now. It was
Right.
it was above Sam Ash, and before I met Steve, I knew that, like I said, that kid Darren was in my circle
Okay.
playing guitar, and I think he may have known Steve
Right.
because there was this kid who played keys named Tracy Shepard,
Okay.
and it was and they were all connected loosely with Teddy Riley with
Okay.
that and so and that was and so and so but I can't. It's so weird. You're talking. I can't remember the very first time I met Steve
Mm.
and where it was, but I know that Steve introduced me to all the other guys.
Right.
It was Steve that introduced me to you, that introduced me to Bert and Cody and NASA, and then as we started getting in a lot more of those guys,
And that's I
William
remember that
Manser
name. Was he a bass player? What was he? I remember his name.
or NASA, yeah, bass
Yeah,
player,
he was a bass player. Okay.
yeah, yeah, and I'm trying to think when I got to college. I think also Mark Adams introduced me to a couple of guys
Okay.
on piano.
Mm-hmm. And what college he was at?
City College, CCNY,
Okay.
and I in the music department, and that's where I studied.
Okay. And you ended up with what degree? Master's?
Bachelor of Fine Arts,
Got you. Okay.
and I minored in audio and
Oh, nice.
what it's called electronic music,
Okay.
which was good because it allowed me to learn enough about
Mm-hmm.
electronic music and enough about audio
Right.
so that when I that helped me with my current job at WPIX.
Okay. That's where you at now? Okay.
Yeah.
We gonna get to I know I would see you. That's the one great thing about Facebook is being able to see what people are doing.
Yeah. Oh,
And I
yeah.
would see you post. Kind of think maybe the last thing I saw was at the time I saw you were still doing live stuff. You was at the Rainbow Room, something like that.
No, it was probably one of these like what's the name of that place? Either the Metropolitan Room.
Okay, but you was in heading a big band.
Oh, that was what the hell is that place called? Yeah, that was it was a three vocalists. It was in front of a big band. It was
Right,
like
right.
13-piece band. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The City Boys All Stars. Yeah.
I remember seeing pictures from that.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So that's cool. Okay, so you coming out of school now. You got this under your belt. So you're into the audio. I mean,
Yep.
into that, and so you end up at where you're at. You said WPIX.
Yeah, what happened was before I got to Pix, I was still doing a lot of theater stuff because in August Martin, there was all the music and a lot of theater.
Okay.
So I first figured, I said, well, I don't know, maybe I want this kind of life on the road.
Right.
So I got this national tour, which was where I started, which I was singing, playing the sax, and acting in
Wow.
this in this Broadway show called The Buddy Holly Story.
Okay.
And we traveled the U.S. and Canada
Nice.
for a year.
Wow.
And it was awesome. And it was a Broadway show on the road. So it was
Nice.
that's when I got into the union, you know, the AFM and equity, and it was awesome. It was like, but there was very few shows that would allow me to do what I did, which was play and sing and act and be able to do that as a musician.
Right.
So once I got to a certain point, a lot of the stagehands and the audio guys and the lighting guys was like saying, look, man, if you want a career, why don't you step backstage?
Mm-hmm.
Get behind the scenes, and I'm like, and I never really wanted to travel, touring, just doing straight music, because I always wanted to do my own stuff, which was foolish and arrogant, because because I just figured my stuff that I wrote was so great that people just had to hear it.
Hey, it's nothing. Hey, man, if you don't believe in it, nobody else is. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. No,
I said, now, of course, the competition is just as big.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
There's a lot out there.
I said, you got to work. I said, but regardless, you leave that behind and it'll always be here. I said, it's not going to be, they can't make it any easier for you.
Yeah, yeah. To be global. Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, you got to work. You got to get out there. You put the work out there, and then you got to keep hitting the grassroots and go to these places and perform live and make it real.
Right. Exactly. It like you said, it's a lot of work, promotion especially. You got to promote because there's so many people out there. You got to let people know that you're here, you know? But I tell people, I said, remember, a 2-inch tape was $200. I said, everybody had to pool their money just to get the tape. We ain't talking about studio time yet.
Oh, man, you're right.
I said, so it can't get no easier than it is now.
Yep.
Put stuff out, man. And it's a great thing. But yeah, you should always do. Like, you got too much talent, man. Everybody's got something to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's definitely a thing. Because after a while, it's like, it's great. I contributed, like you said, I've toured and stuff, but what did I actually leave? What am I leaving behind?
Right.
So, yeah, man, doing your own stuff, man, you can never go wrong with that.
Yep.
So that's cool. So you got a taste of the touring life, which is a great.
I got a taste of the touring life, and I realized, I said, I wanted to get married, and I wanted to start a family.
Right.
And I'm like saying, I can't. I mean, there were guys, and when I looked at all the musicians or actors who was traveling and making money, but most of them didn't have a family.
Right.
Most of them didn't have a successful marriage. Most of them didn't have children that they saw on a regular basis and had some kind of relationship with them. And I wanted that.
Right.
I wanted that. I'm like, so then I said, and I'll never forget, like I said, one of the guys' name is Glenn Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the guys, he's one of the stagehand guys. And he was really talented dude. And he was like, look, man, no matter what the show is, we keep working. And that's when, and so then I kept thinking about that. No matter what the show is, I'll keep working.
Right.
I ain't got to fit a certain type.
Right.
I just got to have a certain skill set. And once I got a job at Pix, and it was 96, in 96, and I never left.
Right.
And, it's tough sometimes because you like, people noticing that your work is there.
Right.
And depending upon where you're working, you're a part of it, but they don't see you.
Right.
And they feel your presence, but they don't know it's you.
Right.
Because you're behind the scenes.
Right.
It was funny. This past year, really proud. There's a morning show that I'm the engineer in charge in,
Okay.
and we got nominated for an Emmy.
Oh, nice, man. Congratulations.
And we didn't win,
Right. It's still nomination,
but
man.
that was because I was like, oh shucks, they actually noticed the work that we're doing,
Right.
and so I'm like, all right, this is not bad.
That's great, man. And it's
Yep.
great, like you said, to have that other skill set. Like,
Yeah.
I learned this software just doing it.
Yep. I'll never forget one time I'm singing from like it was a New Year's Eve party or whatever, and I was with this we did like this blues duo. It was guitar. He was on guitar and vocals. I was on sax and singing, and so it was a nice little duo.
Right.
And it wasn't a big deal or nothing, but we were working out of Connecticut mostly, and I'm in this, and the stage was really tiny, and technically it was like in the windowsill.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was only the two of us, we didn't need a lot of space.
Right.
And I'm sitting there, and I'm like in the windowsill, basically doing this show on New Year's. I don't remember what year it was. I'm like, what the heck am I doing? What am I doing?
Right.
I should be seeing the new year in with my family.
Right. Yeah.
What is it? What is this? What am I doing? I'm not doing this again. Yeah, it's hard, even because even when you're there every day,
right,
you still don't, and like you'll think, oh, I got a great relationship. Are you sure?
Okay, Rick. So what you up to these days, man?
Let's see. There's a few things. One, I'm always writing, and I continue to write. Mostly a lot of gospel, inspirational stuff. A lot of gospel inspirational stuff. I am still doing some jazz stuff. I've got a jazz project that I'm hoping will happen. So between jazz and gospel, those are the things right now. I'm working on a podcast myself. One that's a show where I'm trying to make for local gospel artists an opportunity.
Oh, nice.
Because what happens a lot of times, I always equate it to this: if you're doing popular music like R&B, hip hop, jazz,
right?
There's venues, there's clubs, there's spots where you can play.
Right.
For a gospel musician, the only place really to play is in the church. But there's nothing wrong with that. But wouldn't it be great? Because there's a lot of people who would, and they have them, but they're not really as there's not as many spaces you need.
Right,
you need as many clubs as they have that you can play jazz or R&B or
right.
You need some gospel places where gospel musicians can actually go there and work, because people are going to come there to experience them. So right now I'm looking to just put together a show highlighting the local unsigned talent.
Nice.
It's really what I'm doing right now, just to feature them, to let and build from that to the live show.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I know I had not talked to him, but he had texted me that Steve said that you and him were doing some writing.
Oh, yeah. That's part of the and in fact I just reconnected with Bert Price.
Okay.
And Bert and I are doing some work together as well.
Nice.
There's a song that Steve has written, and this song, the title is, I think it's A Letter from Jackie. It's Steve is his song, and he gave me some lyrics, and we're still writing it.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, Kevin, this song, because I have been writing this particular song of my own for years, and the story just wasn't right. I just couldn't find the right way to write the story. But I love the melody. I love the changes. I love the feel of the song. But I was just like, I just don't have a story. As soon as I heard Letter from Jackie, I was like, oh, shucks. And I started putting them together, and I realized that's what this is going to be. So I cannot wait till I finish it, just so I can reconnect and let you check that out. I just got a message. I'm going to have to run soon.
Cool. So do you have a studio at the house, or how you doing it?
I have a little home studio at the house, but I also have the ability to different guys that I work with that I get stuff done. Right. And that's usually the way I try to get my stuff done. There's a piano player out of Brooklyn, jazz guy that I always do my piano vocals whenever I'm fleshing a tune out,
Mm-hmm.
so that I just break it down to the bare bones melody
Right,
and
yeah,
change it,
absolutely.
and I can see whether it works or not. And then I go into I take that to another fellow who I work with and I expand it out.
Cool. Well, hey,
And now that I'm working with Bert again, I'll be working with him on some stuff.
nice. Well, hey, man, I do stuff. I kind of do some of everything, but my preference is smooth jazz.
Yeah.
And there's times that, you know, I have vocals and stuff when I don't do them myself. Like, you know,
Why don't you?
like the background type thing. I don't do no lead vocals.
But let me tell you, Kevin. Why don't we make a promise to get something done this year together?
Yeah. Oh, no doubt, man. Because
Something done this year.
Because, you know, stuff just sitting there. And as long as you got some place to do vocals,
Oh yeah. Oh
you know,
yeah.
for yourself and send them back to me, man, we definitely could make that happen. That'd be a great thing, man.
I like that. I like that.
I really love that, man. But yo, I know you got to go.
Yep.
But man, I so appreciate you coming on, man, taking the time.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I look forward to this, and this it did not disappoint. I enjoyed this, getting to do this, man. This is really nice.
Because people need to know who we are.
I appreciate it.
You know what I'm saying, man? So it's good to see you. Hopefully I'll get to lay eyes on you, man, in person.
Yeah.
Sometime this year, man, we're going to make that happen.
You got it.
Again, so thanks everybody for another episode of Musician Rewind. We're going to see y'all on the next one. All right, be blessed. Later.